So I've got this partial binary variables kit. We edit that. So the idea with this is it gives you these templates, and you can just slot in the different values to set what range of values you want. We can look up here to find the kind of template. So if we copy this wants to multiply by the first position that we're storing to. So let's say we wanted to store it into position 9. When you have multiple things selected and then you change stuff, so if I change this to minimum, then you can see they're both changed to minimum, and I change it back to multiply, and now they're both multiply, and that's the same for almost all settings. So here I'm selecting both, then I'm tweaking this one so it has that one's settings, and I can just like press down and then up on that so that we get the 512 value. And now if we tweak them separately, that's 512 and that's 512. So now we have this being saved into position 9, which means multiplying it by 512. Now we'll just put it into here to see what that value is. So it's 2560, but the question is, how big is a value of 5? Let's say we wanted to store between 1 and 10, for example. Let's go up to here. So using this little wizard thing, you can plug in how many binary digits you're thinking of using, and it will tell you out here how many values you can store from 0, and it's from 0 to 3. So if you only have 2 digits, you can store values from 0 to 3, which is 4 total values. If I put it to 16, and it rounds down here to help you out, it's storing values between 0 and 65,535, which is 65,536 values. But it's so that you can easily just find out the minimum number of binary digits you need, the minimum number of places, so as we were talking about earlier, the number of positions that you need to store the range of number that you actually need to store. So we said we wanted to store 10 numbers, a range of 0 to 9. Now if we go to 3 places, we only have room for 8, so then we just try the next one up, and that gives us room for 16. So we want to use 4 places. Now we've already moved it to 9, which is marked here because we changed the type of calculator it is. So then we need 4 places, including that one going up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then remember we want to use the position above that to cut out from there up. So let's select that one and select that one, tweak the position 13 one, press down and up, and now this one is the same value as position 13, like that. And then we need to move it down again by the same number as this, so we can just select those 2 if we want, tweak that one, down and up on the D-pad. Down and up just tweaks the increments the value up and down by the smallest amount, so it just prompts it to actually change, which will change the other value as well. So now that's 512, that's 512, because we'll end up with a load of decimal places as well. So if that will be a problem, we can use this rounding down type of thing. That doesn't matter. Round it down, and then we just plug that in there, and we get our 5 out again. So this is being stored from position 9 to position 12 in those 4 binary digits of our value, and we can just set this to whatever value we want within that range. Remember, we have that range of 16, so you can actually, if I just tweak this to be maximum of 16 or maximum of 15, because that's the highest value, so we can use any value in here. It will get crunched down here, stored in the middle of a huge number, and then brought out again with a loading type calculation over here. So let's just make a copy of that and do it again So let's say for this one, let's say there's 2 places. That will give us values from 0 to 3. So maybe this is like the different hairstyle of your character or something. So let's say we only wanted that number of values, 4 different values, so we can use 2 places. So where should we put it? Let's put it, we could put it like right next to this one. So this one ended at position 12, and then position 13 will start this one. So let's select that one and that one. Tweak that one, press up and down, and then it will be 2 on from there, which will be 1, 2, and then we want the next one, which is position 15. So select that and position 15, press up and down, and that should be the same as the multiplication one. So you can press up and down, or you can just select that one, and the starting position. So remember, we only have values between 0 and 3. So I'll just adjust this value slider to have a maximum of 3. So we can just move this around like that and it will work. So we can have a value of 3 and 2 and 1 and 0. And that works just as fine as this one, which is in a different place. Now, we actually want to store all these as one big old number. And because we've used different ranges of these binary digits for these different values, we can just add them up. It's as easy as that. So this is the result for that line, and then we'll just add them up with a calculator to get that value. And then we can split it apart over here by just wiring it into there, and it works just as before. So we can still use whatever value we want over here, and we're getting 3 and 2. That's because we're putting in 3, which is actually down to the integer. We're putting in 3 and getting out 3, and we're putting in 2 and getting out 2. And but it means we can have the value 3 and the value 2 stored within the same number, which is this number here. So of course we'd actually want to use that for something, and we use that to store into a variable. So to turn this into an actual variable that you might persist, so this might be a whole load of different stats about your character, something like that, that you want to persist between games, or it could be like a map of buildings, or any values you want really. So let's just remove those, and we'll have a variable, and we'll just call it P. Oh, you need to set the minimum and maximum. Minimum can be 0 because we don't actually use the negative, and then maximum, just max it out. So if you use L1 and square on it, and then just hold X on one of the numbers, and then R2, that will just clamp it to the maximum value for that setting. So now this variable can be between 0 and just below 10 million. And we'll use a variable modifier we'll just put it to continuously set, and we'll go up and down on here to get to the P variable up here, and we plug that in. So when we play time, it's storing this value in that variable, and then we'll have another variable modifier with a get, and we can just plug that in there and in there. And it's getting those values out and sorting them out into their true values, just as before. So in reality, you'd have one of these get modifiers in each of the places you want to retrieve this value or something. So quite common example is using it for pickups, and you have like 20 pickups. You could store whether each of those 20 pickups have already been picked up or not in different positions over here, just using one variable. So when we play time, it works the same way. You just set it to an integer, and it gets out an integer in these different ranges. And again, if you don't need to worry about decimals, you can just remove those. A good example of that is if you use a selector. So let's say we wanted to use this value to plug into a selector. You can wire it into the active port. So say that these are all different hairstyles, and you have, 16 or something? Different values you can have for these hairstyles. You can just plug that value into the active port, and then it'll change it depending on what number it gets out. So it goes from 0, 1, 2, and so on. As we discussed before, with computers they like 0 to be the first position over here. So it goes 0, 1, 2. So if we play time, it's getting out a 3 and then setting it to the 0, 1, 2, 3 position, which is D. And then that can power some logic or whatever. If we plug it into the other one actually, so you can remove this and plug that in there, and even though it's a little over 2, it just rounds down anyway, this actual gadget, so then you don't need that extra calculator, and you'll still get the 0, 1, 2 position. And same for over here. If you know this value, say it was from a selector, then you could use the active port straight into the multiplication calculator and not have the rounding at all. Those are just in case you need them. I'd like to thank Freakers, DeadMC, Jack Power, and all of my other supporters for making this tutorial possible. Check out TAPgiles.com to find out how you can support me in helping Dreams creators. Thanks for your consideration, and I'll see you in the next one.